This is my Emperor's Children army. When I show up to games with this, you usually hear the, oh wow, Noise Marines, I haven't seen them in a long time. It's either cool or wow. People think because they haven't got their own codex or haven't been buffed in some way that they're outdated or not as effective. But let me tell you something, Noise Marines are very, very effective force. You know, they have 2 attack each, which is incredible because given the fact that they're also the same faction that are given the best uh, ranged weapon in the Chaos Army with the Sonic Blaster. So it's like these people can hold their own. These units can hold their own in the ranged and the melee. And then they have one of the best abilities, as far as I'm concerned, Music of the Apocalypse. Each time a model in this unit is slain, it is driven to make one last attack. So you can read it for yourself, but basically before he dies and after the attacker's all done attacking, let's say he killed 5 Noise Marines. Well, they all get to shoot with their weapon, their ranged weapon, which is 15 shots. You're thrown back on that guy. That guy's getting hurt just for coming in to kill you. So it's just one of the best. And then their Legion trait, Flawless Perfection. This unit always fights first in the fight phase, so it's pretty good. So I set up, I only have 2 setups for this. One is a 1750 army and one is a 1000 point. The 1750 army starts with the Demon Prince. And you know how you always got to have a Demon Prince in your army. Remember, 4 attack. The Malefic Weapon gives them 3 more for 7. The Hateful Assault gives them 8. And then I give them the Intoxicating Elixir. That is a relic that you're allowed to give 1 unit for free. That adds another one. 9 attack, the Demon Prince goes in. This one, the Intoxicating Elixir, adds 1 to his strength as well. So he has a 7 strength. That means he can now attack toughness 8 units and do pretty well against them. So it's very, very nice. Then he has the Prince of Chaos, which you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Slaanesh or Legion units. So any units within 6 inches can reroll hit rolls of 1. I don't really care about that too much for the Demon Prince. Remember, he's in there to hit hard and heavy at somebody. And then the Demon Prince of Slaanesh gets 1 psychic power, and I give him the Death Hex, or usually help out the Noise Marines. But since I want him going into battle and hitting something hard and heavy, I usually give him Death Hex. It doesn't come through all the time, but when it does, it really takes the invulnerable save away from the unit I'm attacking, and that unit will go down quick. And then I give the other headquarters here in this battalion is Lucius the Internal. Now Lucius the Internal has a lot of hand-to-hand stuff, which I really don't use. Lucius stays back with the Sonic Blasters and supports them because with him, the Lord of Slaanesh, you can re-roll hit rolls of 1. So I like that for the Sonic Blasters. Remember, they're attacking on 3 and you're re-rolling 1s. Can't do better than that. And then I think he has to get a Warlord trait of stimulated by pain if he's your Warlord. Again, it's for hand-to-hand, and I don't use them a lot for hand-to-hand. Now, when I say I don't use them a lot for hand-to-hand, that means I don't charge them into battle. I keep them back, and then if the Noise Marines are getting hit or toward the end of the game, then I send him into hand-to-hand, and he can do pretty well. And he does have the Doom Siren. Doom Siren are good infantry killers. Very good. So, and the range is only an 8. But, again, he's very effective. You keep him around the Sonic Marines. Then I put a squad of Noise Marines in there with 12 Sonic Blasters and 2 Blastmasters. The champion just has a bolt gun and the Doom Siren. And again, these are all infantry swarm killers. Very good. The Blastmasters are there in order because you can get this varied frequency or a single frequency. And a single frequency has a strength 8 and it's a heavy D3. So this is for the heavier units. So there's 2 Blastmasters there. In the second squad of Noise Marines, I have 7 Marines with Sonic Blasters, 2 with Blastmasters, and then the champion has the Doom Siren for a 10-man squad. So I have a 15-man squad, a 10-man squad, And you might say, why? How come you just don't give them all Sonics? Well, I don't have that many units with holding Sonic blasters. And if you've seen my first video about my Chaos Alphabet series, I'm not buying any more units. I'm not buying any more Warhammer. This is it. If I can't win with what I got, I shouldn't be playing. So, believe me, this is still very, very effective. You get a lot of shots. You can use the stratagem Endless Cacophony with these guys and shoot twice. And then the third unit is 9 Noise Marines without Sonic Blasters. They're holding chainswords. They're purely for hand-to-hand. And with the flawless perfection, once they get into hand-to-hand and they last a couple rounds, they're going to fight first. So it does come very effective, and they get 2 attack each, and with the chainsword they're attacking with 3. So, very effective. I do give them a Blastmaster, and then the champion is holding a chainsword also. So these will go in the Rhino, and I will go grab an objective or get right in hand-to-hand with somebody. I like just bogging somebody down if I have to. If I see somebody trying to outmaneuver me or maneuver fast with something, I like to bog them down. And, you'll hear some guys say, I don't put units in the army just so they can die or easy kills. But let me tell you something. I've been playing games a long time. And one thing I've never ever liked about Warhammer is when you start, one side gets to shoot everything it has, while the other side just sits there and has to take it. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. But you still have to take the pressure off what you deem to be necessary and vital in your army, which in this case it's my Noise Marines, and give something else for the enemy to pay attention to. Or you have a Defiler out there or something like that. People will focus on that while the Noise Marines will really start cutting down the enemy units. And then when guys start killing them and then they get the music of the apocalypse, they realize, hopefully too late, a turn or two too late into the game, that wow, these Noise Marines are tougher than I thought. So you always throw stuff out there to throw in the enemy's face and make him shoot them first. So I give this unit Bikers, basically because, I had 60 points left and I had a unit of bikes here. Remember, I'm trying to use every Warhammer unit I have. And they're good objective grabbers. So if I'm using my Noise Marines to shoot a lot, I want guys out there grabbing some objectives to get some quick points. And that's what I got the bikes for. And that is this one battalion. Okay, it's a Demon Prince, Lucius, 3 squads of Noise Marines. 2 of them are Sonic Blasters, Blastmasters. 1 of them is hand-to-hand in a Rhino. And then you have a bike squad. Okay? Now, the 2nd battalion. This is part of the 1750. It's another battalion. And this, remember, I always pay 1 command point for an extra relic. I think it's worth it because you get it during the entire game. Not just one phase or one turn. So I pay 1 command point for a relic. So in this one, I get a Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. One of my favorite pieces I always get. And I give him the Hydra's teeth, okay, for his combi bolter. Very, very effective. And then I have a Sorcerer. And of course, these are all Marcus Slaanesh. I have a Sorcerer. He gets 2 spells, the Delightful Agonies and the Presence. And I really like these spells because Presence, you can add 1 to all hit rolls made for the unit. So obviously the Sorcerer is going to be sitting around my Noise Marines adding 1 to their hit. And remember, Lucius re-rolls 1. I mean, I'm going to be hitting a lot with these guys. Delightful Agonies. Until the start of your next phase, roll a d6 each time a unit suffers a wound. On a 5, it does not lose it. So I like throwing that on the Demon Prince. It's not the greatest thing. It doesn't work all the time, but it does at times. Now with this, I just give them straight up Chaos Space Marines. They're not Noise Marines, so they don't have that extra attack. They don't have Music of the Apocalypse because I don't have enough points. But I just make them regular Marines. And with this, I have a 5-man squad with a Flamer. Because if I'm centering this around hitting fighting swarm armies like Tyranids and Orcs and Imperial Guard, which I play quite a few of these people, Flamers come in handy. So I make 3 squads like that. Now remember, in the past, people weren't too hip on Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines. They were not worth the points. And you know, they reduced ours a little bit and they improved the bolter. So I think Chaos Space Marines are absolutely worth their points now, and that's why I throw these in. Now remember, this is versus Swarm Army, so they all have bolt guns. So they are walking out, standing on objectives, trying to hold them, as well as shooting, just like the Noise Marines are, who stay a little farther back and just shoot, while the Space Marines are kind of moving out a little toward the middle of the board or a little past, taking all the hits and dying. I always try to save my Noise Marines for the last. And then we have the Hellbrute, and the Hellbrutes are pretty cheap. They nerfed them to 60 points. I really like them. I usually put a Power Scourge with like a Reaper autocannon, but I don't have all the points for that on this army, so I just have one Hellbrute with the standard Hellbrute Fist, but I don't like Multa and Melta, so I change them. I change this one to a Twin Heavy Bolter. It's better against Swarm Infantry. And then, surprisingly, he will last for 2 turns, maybe even 3. And then, of course, my Obliterators are always one of my mainstay in my armies. Remember, Obliterators dropping in with the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. Your hit rolls are a 3. You're getting 18 shots. Your hit rolls are a 3. You're re-rolling on 1s. And I usually hit 14, 15 times out of the 18. And then for wounds, depending on what you get for the wound roll, because you know you got to roll that D3, I use Veterans of the Long War, and you get to add 1 to your wound roll. So immediately when I drop the Chaos Lord and I drop the Obliterators, I use 2 stratagems: Endless Cacophony and Veterans of the Long War. And these guys can take down any unit with 15 wounds. Doesn't matter if their toughness is 8 or not. I've done it many, many times. You can't go without a Terminator Lord and Obliterators. So that is my 1750 army. It's pretty effective. Again, it's kind of selective, and I don't use it all the time. Now, I only have 4 armies created that are 1,000-point armies. I've already showed you one, the Alpha Legion, which I use most of the time, but I use my Emperor's Children 1,000-point army second most. It is very effective. And this one is a Demon Prince who is the Warlord. So he has Stimulated by Pain, the Relic, Intoxicating Elixir, Malefic Talons. So Stimulated by Pain, the more damage he takes, he gets even more attacks. So very nice. I give him the Exalted Champion because the Exalted Champion can help the Noise Marines in hand-to-hand. And I have 1 unit of Noise Marines with 9 Marines with Sonic Blasters, and then a Champion, no Doom Siren, and then another unit of 5 Marines with 4 Sonic Blasters and a Champion with no Doom Siren. And then 10-man squad of cultists. And then for the heavy support, this is where I really do my damage. It's the Demon Prince, heavy support, the Defiler with twin last cannons, twin heavy flamers, and he's got that battle cannon. And I rush him right into combat as fast as I can. I get him up there, and then I have 3 Obliterators that will drop. Again, I don't have the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor with him, because I just don't have the points. But if I try to get the Exalted Champion with them and at least a Demon Prince around him, the Demon Prince can still allow him to reroll hit rolls of 1. So that is the Emperor's Children 1,000 point. It's a pretty effective army, especially with Defiler and Obliterators in a 1,000-point army. Now I do use this 1,000 point Emperor's Son army quite often. One memorable game I had was against a little tournament we had. I went 4-1. I went to the championship, lost in the championship to the Tyranids, and it was because of mainly his Hermagots. He came out with his Genestealers first. He can go all the way across the board with them. He comes across and attacks my Noise Marines, which is the right thing to do. And we went in a battle. Well, he lost his Genestealers, and I lost just about every Noise Marine. And you know, Genestealers are pretty effective in hand, but that's how well my Noise Marines held up, especially with Music in the Apocalypse. So they kind of canceled each other out, even though his force was probably cheaper. And then the other Marines and the Obliterators and the Demon Prince came in and took out his heavy stuff. And like the first or second turn, I didn't really concentrate on his Hermagots that were shooting me. And I believe I'm calling them right, Hermagots, but they were shooting with 30 of them, 90 shots. And then he has a stratagem to shoot again in the same turn. So he's shooting 180 times. And, you know, in 8th edition, that's what this is all about, shooting a lot. And you can't possibly stop all these saves. Then, probably on turn 3, 4, and 5 is when I started picking on the Hermagots and reducing them. But just a little tip, when you got a force like that shooting that many shots, just killing 5 of them on a turn, you don't have to waste that many shots on them, really is going to help you out if you just reduce that number of how many times he can shoot you. Because that's what started happening in turn 4 and 5. He couldn't shoot as much, and that's all he had left. He was still shooting, and all I had left was like 2 Obliterators. When we got down to turn 5, it was 1 Obliterator against probably 10 Hermagots, and I think he had these other, I forget what the other people he had left, like 3 of them, some of his elite type of troops, and I would have won the game if it didn't extend. Well, it did extend to turn 6. And then I would have won it right there if it didn't extend again, which it did to turn 7. And on that point, I only had like 1 wound left on my Obliterator. And he, you know, with 6 shots or 7 shots, I couldn't make the save for him. And he took him out, and I lost that objective. And he won the game. So, I mean, that's how effective this army is my point. And I really like the Emperor's Children.